MPI programming. From this session onward, we are trying to run solutions in a parallel way. Hope you are all comfortable with the C program syntax and semantics. We will start with the message passing interface, usually shortened as MPI. MPI is a great foundation to start building your knowledge of parallel programming concepts. Before going deeper into the MPI concepts, we must understand certain notions of MPI. The first among is that MPI is a library standard based on the consensus of MPI Forum, which includes many researchers, vendors, software library developers. There are basically two communication models in parallel programming. The first one is a shared memory concept, and the second one is the message passing concept. In shared memory model, the communication happens between different process executions by sharing the memory locations. In MPI, the processes communicate by passing the messages between them. MPI was developed for distributed memory architectures. So the initial version of this library came out in 1994. We are going to support the existing compiler with the MPI library so that they can run MPI programs. So throughout my sessions, I will be using Visual Studio to run the programs by enabling the MPI support. The library supports both functionally parallel and data parallel computational models. So let's recap the basics of process execution. A process is code to be executed with its program counter and address space. There are two types of communications happening, synchronous and asynchronous. In a synchronous communication, both sending and receiver has to be over for the communication to finish. In asynchronous model, as soon as the message is sent, the communication is over. Consider the scenario where a fax instruction is executed. The receiving end receives the message as soon as it is sent. Whereas in the case of postal communication, the receiver may receive the message anytime in future, but the sender does not wait for the message to be received. So hope you remember that you have learned task channel model in using Foster design methodology. In a task channel model, there are tasks and they communicate using channel. Here the task becomes a process in message passing model. Each processor has its own local memory. Using the message passing, these processors give the indirect access to its memory variables. So in a task channel model, the process and the communication can happen from any process to any other process. In shared model, there are explicit channels for the communication. In this diagram, you can see that all independent computing system having its own processor and memory communicate through an interconnection network. As I said earlier, the message passing model was designed for hybrid distributed memory systems. So how does this MPA work? The user has to specify the number of processes when the program starts, and it remains constant throughout the execution of that program. Each process has its own unique ID, and different processes may execute different operations. The messages between them, they use messages between them to communicate as well as to synchronize. There are several advantages to the message passing model. It gives the programmer the flexibility to manage the memory, the portability to many architectures, and a simplified deterministic program which is easy to debug. We will see a simple skeleton of MPA program. You can see that you have to include the mpi.h, the header file, to support the libraries of MPI. Then you have two functions specified in this program. The first one is MPI init with two arguments and MPI finalize. We will be seeing these two functions in detail. Now you can see a minimalized MPI program for a hello world printf. You have to include the mpi.h as the header file. You initialize the environment using mpi init. Then you have the structure of the program or the statements of the program to be executed. Then you have mpi finalize. Now what is this mpi init? It is the initialization routine of MPI program. It actually initializes the environment for you. It need not be the first statement of the program, but it has to be the first statement before you call any other functions related to MPI. So it takes two arguments and it returns an integer success value or a return code. Now, what does MPI finalize? This statement free up the resources and it is the last statement once you have finished the MPI routines. So just a recap, whatever I said right now, include mpi.h provides the basic MPI definitions and types. MPI init starts the MPI routine. MPI finalize terminates the MPI functions. Now, note that all other non-MPI routines are local. Thus, printf runs on each process. The MPI function finally returns the error code or a success code. This is an improved version of our Hello World program. You can see that I have included two header files. One is mpi.h and stdio.h for the standard input-output operations. Then we have the main function. I have declared two variables. One is rank and another is size. I started calling the MPI routines using the first function call, which is MPI init. There are two arguments. The second function call is MPI com rank and MPI com size. These two will be described and defined later in this presentation. We have the printf statement in which I try to print the rank and size. Finally, I conclude with MPI finalize statement. Now, what is this MPI com rank? Whenever an MPI has been initialized, all the active processes becomes a member of a default environment called a communicator. This is called MPI com world. A communicator, you can consider it as an opaque object which provides the environment for this message passing among all the processes. So all the processes are ordered in this communicator. The rank is the position in the overall order. In a communicator with P processes, each process has a unique number starting from 0 till P minus 1. A process uses the rank to determine which portion of that computation it is responsible for. So the function call takes two arguments. One is MPI com world, which is the communicator name, and an address reference to a variable which takes the rank of that process. Now com size. To determine the total number of active processes in that communicator, we have the function called MPI com size. It also takes two arguments. The one is the default communicator name and the second one is the address reference to a variable which receives the total number of active processes in that communicator. Now you can see in this diagram, the MPI com world acts as an environment for all the 6 active processes. Each process is ranked from 0 to 5. Now, in detail, when you see each process has two variables attached to it. One is its own rank and the total number of processes in the communicator. As an initiation to the MPI programming, we are going to see a problem called circuit satisfiability problem. Here you can see a diagram. a very complex logical network diagram which has got 16 inputs. We are interested in those combinations of inputs which gives a final result of 1. So this is what you call circuit satisfiability problem. So when you try to partition this particular problem, you can see that 2 raised to 16, that is 65,536 input combinations are completely independent. So the output received by one combination is totally independent of the other combinations. These kind of tasks are called embarrassingly parallel because there is no communication happening between these tasks. So we are going to see a solution method for the circuit satisfiability problem. You can see that circuit satisfiability is completely an NP-complete program, and we are going to have an exhaustive search through all these 2 raised to 16 combinations. So we are planning to have a interleaved allocation. If we have P processes, we will give each process every pth piece of work. That means we will have an interleaved allocation. If P0 is given 0 and there are 5 processes, definitely 0 will go to P0, 1 will go to P1, 2 to P2, 3 P3, 4 to P4. Finally, we'll cyclically rotate and 5 is assigned to P0. Then 6 goes to P1. This is what you call interleaved allocation. So I have a quiz for you. Assume that n pieces of work are there. There are p processes and we have a cyclic allocation. What is the most number of pieces any process will have, and what is the least number of pieces any process have? Here you have n pieces of work or n tasks. There are p processes. Try to find out the answer. And finally, how many processes have the most number of pieces? Let's try to find out a solution for the circuit satisfiability problem. We will include both MPI header file and stdio.h. We have the main function in which we have a declaration for check circuit function, which is described later. We will have the initial setup for MPI routines, which is MPI init. Then we have the MPI com rank with 2 arguments. One is the default communicator name, which is MPI com world, and the ID. We have the MPI com size. Again, the parameters are MPI com world and the parameter for getting the size or the total number of processes in the communicator. Now there is the exhaustive search starting from 0 till 65,536. Here the number of inputs are 16. So 2 raised to 16, that is 65,536 combinations are to be worked upon. And we call the function check circuit every 2 raised to 16 times. Finally, we conclude it with MPI finalize and return. So what is this check circuit program? Here we have a macro defined as extract bit, which actually gives us the combinations from 0000 up to 65,536 the combination. And you can see that this particular combination gives us the original logical circuit where you have the AND, OR and negation. Finally, you are printing all those combinations in which this particular expression is 1.